The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was always quiet. Most operators fought sleep as they watched endless streams of data from the cosmos. But tonight was different. Tom Reed sat up straight when his console beeped. A strange pattern appeared on his screen. Not random noise, but something with structure. He adjusted the receivers, trying to get a clearer signal. "Computer, analyze pattern," Tom said, rubbing his tired eyes. The computer worked for several seconds. "Pattern contains mathematical sequence. Prime numbers detected." Tom's heart raced. He called his supervisor, Dr. Adams. "You better come see this," he said. "I think we've got something." Within an hour, the station's main room filled with scientists and military officials. The signal repeated every 12 minutes, first sending prime numbers, then what appeared to be coordinates. "It's definitely artificial," Dr. Adams explained to General Wilson, who had arrived by helicopter. "And it's coming from beyond our solar system." "Are you saying it's aliens?" the general asked, his face serious. "What else could it be?" Dr. Adams replied. "The signal uses universal mathematical principles, the kind we ourselves sent out on Voyager. This is a message meant to be understood by any intelligent species." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had wondered for centuries if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. Military analysts quickly determined that the signal wasn't a threat. It was a distress call. The pattern changed slightly with each transmission, suggesting urgency. World leaders gathered in an emergency session. Humanity had achieved basic interstellar travel only 15 years earlier. Their ships were limited and experimental, but the signal's coordinates were reachable. "We have to respond," said President Reyes, "not just because we might learn from them, but because it's the right thing to do." 3 days later, Earth Space Command prepared its best ship, the Horizon, for launch. Captain Ben Foster would lead the mission with a crew of 30. The best pilots, engineers, scientists, and doctors Earth had to offer. The world watched as the Horizon prepared for departure. News channels showed crowds gathering outside space centers. Some people carried signs warning of alien dangers, but most displayed messages of hope and curiosity. On the launch day, Captain Foster addressed his crew on the bridge. "We don't know what we'll find out there," he said, "but we know someone needs help. Throughout history, humans have reached out to strangers in need. Today, we extend that same hand to the stars." The Horizon's experimental warp drive engaged, creating a bubble of space-time that allowed the ship to travel faster than light. Even with this technology, the journey would take 2 weeks. During the trip, the crew studied the alien signal continuously. Dr. Laura Chen, the ship's xenolinguist, made a breakthrough on day 10. "The signal isn't just coordinates," she explained during a crew meeting. "It contains basic technical information. They're telling us about their ships, their life support systems. Whatever happened, it affected their entire fleet." Captain Foster nodded. "So we're heading toward multiple vessels, not just one." "Yes," Laura confirmed. "And based on energy readings, they're in serious trouble." As the Horizon approached the coordinates, the crew prepared for humanity's first contact with alien life. They had no idea if the aliens would look like humans or something completely different. They didn't know if communication would be possible beyond basic math. The ship's sensors began picking up large objects ahead. On the main screen, everyone stared in awe as the Horizon exited warp space. Floating silently against the backdrop of stars was a massive fleet of ships, dozens of them, in various sizes. Their designs were elegant and strange, with curved surfaces that seemed to flow like liquid. But most of the vessels were dark, with only faint lights visible. "Life signs?" Foster asked. "Thousands," replied the science officer, "but many of the ships show failing life support systems." Foster straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves." The Horizon approached the alien fleet slowly. Captain Foster had ordered all weapons systems offline and shields at minimum power, a gesture of peace. Any response to our greeting? Foster asked, his eyes fixed on the massive alien command ship. It was at least 3 times larger than the horizon, with a design that reminded him of sea creatures from Earth's oceans. Communications Officer Rivera shook her head. Nothing yet, Captain. I'm broadcasting on all frequencies using the mathematical sequence they sent us. The bridge crew waited in tense silence. Some stared at their stations. Others couldn't take their eyes off the alien vessels visible through the main viewport. After 10 minutes, the main screen flickered. At first, they saw only static. Then shapes began to form. The image cleared to reveal a being unlike anything they had imagined. The alien had a smooth, pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Its head was elongated with no visible ears, and 4 large eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Where a human mouth would be, it had what looked like thin membranes that vibrated as it produced sounds. "I am Navigator Kelth of the Lumerian fleet," the alien said in a surprisingly clear voice. The ship's computer had somehow translated its speech. "We thank you for answering our distress call." Foster stood straight, aware that he represented all of humanity in this moment. "I am Captain Benjamin Foster of the Earth ship Horizon. We received your signal and came to offer assistance." The alien's upper eyes blinked slowly. "Your response was unexpected. We did not believe any spacefaring civilization existed in this sector. We're relatively new to interstellar travel," Foster admitted. "But we couldn't ignore someone in need. How can we help?" Navigator Kelth explained their situation. The Lumerian fleet had been on a long exploration mission when they encountered an unusual energy storm. Their main power cores were damaged, leaving their ships with failing life support systems and no way to return home. "Our technology relies on quantum resonance cores," Kelth said. "The storm disrupted the harmonic balance. We have been drifting for what you would call 3 months, conserving what little power remains." Dr. Chen, who had been analyzing the conversation, leaned toward Foster. "Captain, they seem surprised that we responded. I don't think they expected help." Foster nodded and turned back to the screen. "Navigator Kelth, with your permission, I'd like to send a small team to your command ship to better understand your systems. Perhaps we can find a solution together." The alien seemed hesitant. "Your offer is generous, but our technology is very different from what your species might use. I fear you may not be able to help." "Let us try," Foster said firmly. "Humans are good at solving problems, especially unusual ones." After a brief pause, Kelth agreed. Foster assembled a team led by Chief Engineer Malik, Dr. Chen for communication, and Medical Officer Paddle to assess the Lumerians' physical condition. The shuttle journey to the alien command ship was short but tense. As they docked, Engineer Malik whispered, "I never thought my first day with aliens would involve fixing their plumbing." The airlock opened to reveal a corridor with soft, ambient light. 3 Lumerians waited for them. Up close, the aliens were taller than humans, with slender bodies and 4 arms. They moved with surprising grace despite their obvious weakness. One stepped forward. "I am Fleet Commander Orcs. Welcome aboard the Celestial Voyager." The human team followed the aliens through curving hallways. The ship's interior was beautiful but clearly in distress. Many sections were dark, and the air felt thin and cold. Commander Orcs led them to what appeared to be the ship's control center. Unlike human ships with rigid stations and displays, this room featured flowing, organic consoles that seemed to grow from the floor. "This is our command center," Orcs explained, "and here is our problem." At the center of the room stood a cylindrical chamber. Inside, a swirling mass of energy pulsed weakly, its light fading in and out. "This is our primary quantum core," Orcs said. "It powers everything from propulsion to life support. Without it, we are drifting and dying." Engineer Malik stepped closer, his experienced eyes examining the alien technology. "I've never seen anything like this," he admitted. "But every power system follows basic principles. Let me run some tests." Commander Eric's 4 eyes focused on the humans with what might have been hope. "You truly believe you can help us?" Captain Foster nodded confidently. "We'll do everything we can." "That's a promise." Engineer Malik spent hours studying the Lumerian quantum core. He took readings with his equipment, consulted with the alien technicians, and made detailed notes. The core's blue glow cast shadows across his focused face. "This is amazing technology," he told Captain Foster during their check-in. "Their energy system works by manipulating subatomic particles in ways we've only theorized about on Earth." "Can you fix it?" Foster asked directly. Malik shook his head. "Not with our current knowledge. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours." Commander Eric's, who stood nearby, lowered all 4 arms in a gesture that seemed to show disappointment. "As I feared, we thank you for attempting to help, but perhaps it is best if you return to your world." Foster wasn't ready to give up. "Wait. Just because we can't fix your quantum technology doesn't mean we can't help you." "Malik, what about alternative power sources?" Malik's eyes widened with realization. "Of course. We don't need to fix their technology. We just need to give them enough power to repair it themselves." The engineer turned to Commander Eric's. "Do you have any mechanical backup systems? Anything that doesn't rely on quantum physics?" "Mechanical." The alien seemed confused. "We abandoned such primitive methods many generations ago. Our entire civilization runs on quantum technology." Malik and Foster exchanged looks. "That's our advantage," Foster said quietly. "Sometimes newer isn't better." The human team returned to the horizon and called an emergency meeting. Foster explained the situation to his crew. "The Lumerians have forgotten the basics," he said. "They've advanced so far that they've lost the ability to build simple mechanical systems, but that's exactly what they need right now." Dr. Chen nodded in understanding, like someone with a broken phone who's forgotten how to write a letter. "Exactly," Foster replied. "We're going to teach them some old-fashioned human ingenuity." The team gathered materials from the Horizon's storage bays. They'd brought tools, spare parts, and equipment that hadn't changed much in design for centuries. Generators, pumps, fans, and combustion engines. When they returned to the Lumerian ship, Engineer Malik set up a simple demonstration for the alien technicians. He assembled a basic generator powered by stored fuel. "This is how humans made electricity before we developed more advanced methods," he explained as the generator hummed to life. A nearby light connected to it began to glow. The Lumerian technicians watched with 4-eyed wonder. One of them, named Thullo, moved closer to examine the device. "It's so physical," Thullo said. "You're burning chemical fuel to spin magnets, which creates electrical current through copper wires." "Yes," Malik smiled. "Simple, reliable, and easy to repair." Commander Eric's seemed skeptical. How could such basic technology help our advanced ships? Foster stepped forward. "We're not suggesting this as a permanent solution, but these generators can provide enough power to support your life support systems while you work on repairing your quantum cores." Over the next several hours, the human team worked alongside the Lumerians, teaching them to assemble and operate the generators. The aliens learned quickly, their 4 arms giving them an advantage in handling tools. Dr. Patel helped set up temporary air circulation systems in the most critical areas of the ship. "Your people can gather in these zones where we've restored life support," she explained to the alien medical officer. By the end of the ship's day cycle, the first generator system was running at full capacity. Lights brightened in sections that had been dark for weeks. The air began to warm and freshen. Commander Eric's called a meeting with Captain Foster. "Captain, I must admit I underestimated your species," the commander said. "We thought your technology too primitive to be of use, but these simple machines you've built, they're saving lives." "Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one," Foster replied. "And humans are very good at finding simple solutions to complex problems." Eric's performed a gesture with all 4 arms that Foster assumed was a sign of respect. "We have much to learn from humans," said the commander. "Not just about technology, but about resilience and adaptability. These qualities are clearly your species' true strength." Foster smiled. "And we have much to learn from you. This is just the beginning of what we can accomplish together." News of the first generator's success spread quickly through both the Lumerian fleet and back to Earth. Captain Foster contacted Earth Space Command with a detailed report and an urgent request. "The situation is more critical than we initially understood," he explained during the transmission. "There are 23 ships in the Lumerian fleet with over 15,000 lives at risk. The Horizon alone doesn't have enough resources to help them all." Back on Earth, leaders gathered to discuss the crisis. Within hours, they made their decision. Humanity would mount its largest space rescue mission ever. "All available ships are being diverted to your coordinates," Admiral Garcia informed Foster. "The Armstrong and Discovery will arrive in 5 days with supplies and personnel. 3 more ships will follow within the week." Foster shared this news with Commander Orcs, whose upper eyes widened in surprise. "Your people would send so many ships to help strangers?" The Lumerian asked. "It's what humans do," Foster replied simply. While waiting for reinforcements, the Horizon's crew worked tirelessly. They split into teams, each focusing on a different ship in the fleet. Priority went to vessels with the most critical life support failures. Engineer Malik trained the Lumerians to build simple mechanical systems using materials from their own ships. The aliens were quick learners, their forearm dexterity allowing them to assemble devices faster than humans once they understood the principles. They've been relying on technology that builds and repairs itself for so long that they forgot these basics, Malik told Foster during a break. "It's actually amazing to watch them rediscover mechanical engineering." Dr. Patel faced different challenges. Each Lumerian ship had families with children, elderly, and some who were ill. The doctor worked with alien medical officers to set up warming stations and ensure proper air circulation. "Their biology is fascinating," she reported. "They need more oxygen than humans and prefer cooler temperatures. We've had to adjust our systems accordingly." On the 4th day, disaster struck one of the smaller Lumerian vessels. Its backup systems failed completely, leaving 300 aliens with rapidly depleting air. "We need to evacuate them immediately," Foster ordered. The Horizon, already crowded with its own crew, didn't have space for so many refugees. Foster made a difficult decision. "We'll move them to the other Lumerian ships that have working generators," he said. "It will strain those systems, but we have no choice." The evacuation was chaotic but successful. Lumerian families were separated as they were distributed among different ships, but all were saved before their air ran out. On the 5th day, true to their word, the Armstrong and Discovery arrived from Earth. They'd brought essential supplies, fuel, metal, tools, and most importantly, hundreds of Earth's best engineers and technicians. Captain Foster greeted Captain Kim of the Armstrong with a tired smile. "You're a welcome sight. Looks like you've been busy," Kim replied, observing the modified Lumerian ships. "Admiral Garcia said to tell you Earth is proud. This is now officially Operation Helping Hand." With the additional resources, the rescue effort expanded dramatically. Human engineers worked in shifts, teaching Lumerians to build and maintain the temporary systems while helping them understand how to repair their quantum technology. Commander Orcs called a meeting with all 3 human captains. "My people are humbled by your efforts," the Lumerian said. "For generations, we considered mechanical technology primitive. We believed our quantum systems made us superior. Now we realize our advancement became our weakness, while your primitive knowledge saved us." Captain Foster shook his head. "Not primitive, foundational. You built incredible technology, but forgot the basics it was built upon. A lesson we won't forget," Orcs promised. "Already, our engineers are designing hybrid systems with mechanical backups, inspired by your technology." The human captains exchanged glances. This rescue mission was becoming something more significant. the beginning of a technological and cultural exchange between two very different civilizations. We still have much work to do, Foster reminded everyone. The 11 ships remain without stable life support, and the temporary systems won't last forever. We'll succeed, Captain Kim said firmly. Together. The rescue operation settled into a rhythm as Earth ships continued to arrive. The space around the Lumerian fleet became busy with shuttle traffic as humans and aliens worked together across all vessels. Despite the urgent situation, moments of cultural exchange began to emerge. In the makeshift mess hall aboard the Lumerian command ship, Engineer Malik sat with Thalo, the alien technician who had shown the most interest in human methods. They shared a meal, each eating their own species' food. Why do humans use tools for eating? Thalo asked, watching Malik use a fork. The Lumerian used his 4 hands to gracefully manipulate his food. Malik laughed. I guess we never evolved the extra arms. But that's a human trait. We build tools to overcome our limitations. These conversations happened everywhere as the two species worked side by side. The Lumerians were particularly fascinated by human art and music. When off-duty crew members played guitars or sang songs, aliens would gather to listen. Your music contains imperfections, observed a Lumerian named Vel after hearing a jazz performance. Yet these imperfections make it beautiful. How strange. Lieutenant Park, who had been playing the saxophone, smiled. That's the point. Jazz is about improvisation, creating something new in the moment. Our music is mathematically perfect, Vel explained, each note precisely calculated for maximum emotional impact. Would you share some? Park asked. Vel produced a small device that played Lumerian music. The sounds were unlike anything the humans had heard, complex harmonies that seemed to shift dimensionally, creating patterns that were both beautiful and slightly unsettling. It's incredible, Park said honestly, but I noticed there's no performer. It's all generated by your computers. Of course, Vel replied. No living being could achieve such precision. That's the difference, Park said. Human music is about the connection between performer and audience, the shared experience of creating something together. The Lumerians were equally curious about human history. During one rest period, Dr. Chen found herself explaining Earth's development to Commander Orcs and several other alien leaders. Your species has had so many wars, Orcs noted with concern, over resources, territory, beliefs. Yes, Chen acknowledged, it's not something we're proud of. But those struggles shaped us. They taught us resilience and the importance of cooperation. The Lumerian collective has known peace for 10,000 years, Eric said. Our society is built on perfect harmony and shared purpose. That's admirable, Chen replied. But I wonder if that harmony came at a cost. Sometimes conflict drives innovation. It forces different perspectives to be heard. Eric's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. A gesture Chen had learned indicated deep thought. Perhaps. We have advanced technologically, but as this crisis showed, we became dependent on a single approach. Your species maintains diversity of thought. On the bridge of the horizon, Captain Foster reviewed progress reports with Captain Kim and Captain Rice of the Discovery. The news was encouraging. 17 of the 23 Lumerian ships now had stable life support. 4 more were close to completion. The Lumerians are quick learners, Captain Rice noted. They've already improved on some of our designs. They're starting to integrate our mechanical systems with their quantum technology, Kim added. The results are impressive. Foster nodded. More than a rescue mission, this has become a cultural and technological exchange. Both our species will be changed by this encounter. The captain's discussion was interrupted when Commander Erix entered the bridge, accompanied by several Lumerian elders. The aliens performed their formal greeting gesture. Captains, Erix said, these are the keepers of knowledge from our homeworld. They have been studying your species through our communications. They wish to propose a formal alliance between humans and Lumerians. Foster stood straighter. We would be honored to discuss such an alliance. The eldest Lumerian stepped forward, all four arms extended in a ceremonial position. For millennia, we believed ourselves to be the most advanced beings in this galaxy. Now we understand that advancement has many forms. Your species has shown us that there is wisdom in simplicity, strength in adaptability, and beauty in imperfection. We have much to learn from each other. Foster smiled. What had begun as a desperate rescue mission was becoming the foundation for humanity's first interstellar friendship. The rescue operation approached its final phase. 22 of the 23 Lumerian ships now had functioning life support systems. Only the massive command vessel, the Celestial Voyager, remained partially unstable. Its size and complexity made the work more challenging. Engineer Malik supervised the installation of the last major generator in the Voyager's central chamber. Human and Lumerian technicians worked together, connecting power lines to critical systems. Once this is online, Malik explained to Commander Orcs, your ship will have enough power to begin repairing the quantum core. In a few weeks, you should be able to resume your journey home. Orcs performed a gesture of gratitude. Your species has saved mine. This debt can never be fully repaid. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed, and the floor trembled beneath them. What's happening? Malik shouted over the noise. A Lumerian technician rushed into the room, all four arms moving in frantic patterns. The quantum core is destabilizing. The energy storm damaged it more severely than we realized. Captain Foster and Dr. Chen arrived minutes later. They found Orcs and the ship's senior scientists gathered around monitoring equipment, their blue skin pale with fear. Explain the situation, Foster demanded. Chief Scientist Vorel pointed to a display showing the quantum core. The swirling energy inside had changed color from blue to an angry purple, with lightning-like discharges striking the containment walls. The core is entering cascade failure, Vorel explained. When we attempted to increase power using your generators, it triggered a reaction in the damaged particles. Can you shut it down? Chen asked. No, Vorel replied. Once cascade begins, it must run its course. In approximately 4 hours, the core will collapse, releasing enough energy to destroy this ship and damage nearby vessels. We need to evacuate, Foster said immediately. Orcs shook his head. There are still 3,000 Lumerians aboard. We cannot transfer them all in time, and the other ships are already overcrowded. Foster contacted the Earth ships, explaining the emergency. Captains Kim and Rice joined an emergency meeting on the Voyager. Could we tow the command ship away from the fleet? Rice suggested. No, Vorel answered. Any attempt to move the ship might accelerate the cascade. The humans and Lumerians debated options for nearly an hour, but found no solution. The quantum physics involved were beyond current human understanding, and the Lumerians' advanced knowledge couldn't solve the problem without working equipment. As the meeting broke up, Engineer Malik approached Foster privately. Captain, I've been thinking about something, he said quietly. The Horizon's warp drive works by creating a bubble of modified spacetime. Right. Yes, Foster confirmed. It bends space around the ship. What if we modified it to create a containment field around the Lumerian core? We could direct the explosion upward, away from the fleet. Foster stared at his engineer. You're talking about sacrificing the Horizon. Malik nodded grimly. I've run the calculations. We would need to position the ship directly above the core chamber. When the core collapses, the warp field would channel the energy away from the fleet. The crew on the Horizon wouldn't survive, Foster said, his voice heavy. Not necessarily, Malik replied. We could set up remote operation, but someone would need to stay behind to make final adjustments as the cascade progresses. Before Foster could respond, Commander Orcs approached. The Lumerian had overheard their conversation. No, Orcs said firmly. We cannot allow you to sacrifice your ship or your people for us. Foster looked between the alien commander and his engineer. What's the alternative? Lose thousands of lives. After much discussion, a plan took shape. The Horizon would be positioned above the Voyager. Its warp drive would be modified to create a directional containment field. Most of the crew would evacuate, but a small team would remain to monitor the cascade and adjust the field as needed. Captain Foster insisted on leading this team himself, despite objections from both humans and Lemurians. "A captain doesn't abandon others to danger," he said simply. As evacuation began, the quantum core grew more unstable. Purple energy flared more frequently, and the ship's structure groaned under the strain. In the control room, Foster watched the countdown timer. 2 hours remained before catastrophic failure. He looked at his small team, Malik, Dr. Chen, and 2 volunteers. Their faces showed fear, but also determination. "Whatever happens," Foster told them, "today we prove what humanity stands for. We help those in need, no matter the cost." The modified Horizon hovered directly above the celestial Voyager, its position locked. Inside the human ship's control room, Captain Foster and his small team worked frantically to prepare the warp drive for its new purpose. Containment field at 60% capacity, Engineer Malik reported, his fingers flying across the controls. "The modifications are holding, but I don't know for how long." Dr. Chen monitored communications with the evacuated crews on other vessels. "All non-essential personnel are clear of both ships," she confirmed. "The remaining Lemurians are gathered in the designated safe zones." Outside the viewports, the fleet had moved to a safer distance. Thousands of lives, human and Lemurian, waited anxiously for the outcome of this desperate plan. Foster checked the countdown. 53 minutes until core collapse. "Begin final preparations," he ordered. "We'll activate the containment field at 30 minutes. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected movement. A small shuttle was approaching from the Lemurian fleet. "Who is that?" Foster demanded. "I ordered all ships to maintain distance." The communications screen activated, showing Commander Orcs in the shuttle's pilot seat. "Captain Foster," the alien said, "I am coming aboard your vessel." "That's not the plan, Commander," Foster replied sternly. "Return to your fleet immediately." Orcs's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "This plan requires precise knowledge of quantum physics to succeed. Your engineer is skilled, but he does not fully understand our technology." "I do." Before Foster could argue further, the shuttle docked with the Horizon. Minutes later, Orcs joined them on the bridge. "This is our fight too," the Lemurian said simply. Working together, Malik and Orcs refined the containment field design. The Lemurians' knowledge of quantum physics proved invaluable, allowing them to better predict how the core would behave during collapse. At 30 minutes to failure, they activated the containment field. A shimmering bubble of energy formed between the 2 ships, surrounding the command vessel's quantum core section. "Field stable," Malik reported. "Now we wait." The minutes ticked by intense silence. At the 15-minute mark, the quantum core's instability increased dramatically. Purple energy flared against the containment field, testing its limits. "Field holding at 80%, Malik said, though sweat beaded on his forehead. At 10 minutes, the ship began to shake. Warning alarms sounded as the containment field fluctuated. "We need more power," Orcs shouted. Foster made a quick decision. "Divert power from life support. We only need enough air for the next 15 minutes." As the countdown reached 5 minutes, the situation became critical. The containment field was weakening faster than predicted. "It's not going to hold," Malik said, his voice strained. "The energy is too great." Orcs moved to the warp drive controls. "There is one more option," the alien said. "If we create a momentary wormhole within the containment field, it could direct the energy into empty space. That would destroy the Horizon's engine." Chen protested. "But it would save both fleets," Foster replied. He looked at his team, then at Orcs. "Do it." The Lemurian's 4 hands worked the controls with incredible speed. The warp drive began to whine as it pushed beyond its design limits. 1 minute to core collapse, Chen announced. Foster opened a channel to all ships. "This is Captain Foster. Brace for possible shockwave. Whatever happens next, it's been an honor." At 30 seconds, Orcs completed the wormhole modifications. "It's ready," he said. "But someone must manually activate it at the exact moment of collapse." Foster stepped forward. "I'll do it." "No," Eric said, placing a hand on Foster's shoulder. "Your people need you to tell this story." Before anyone could stop him, the Lumerian commander moved to the manual override station. The final countdown began. 10 seconds. 5. "For both our peoples," Eric said, and activated the sequence. A blinding flash of light filled the viewports as the quantum core collapsed. The wormhole opened at the exact moment, capturing the devastating energy and channeling it away from the fleet. The Horizon's warp drive exploded, but the containment field held just long enough. When the light faded, the celestial voyagers still floated below them, damaged but intact. The Horizon's engines were destroyed, but the ship and its brave crew survived. 6 months later, a new monument stood in the United Nations Plaza on Earth. It depicted a human and a Lumerian standing side by side, hands and arms extended toward the stars. The plaque read, "To the beings of Earth and Lumeria, who together proved that courage, ingenuity, and sacrifice know no species." The Lumerian fleet, repaired with a combination of their advanced technology and human mechanical systems, prepared to return home. But they left behind representatives to establish the first alien embassy on Earth. Captain Foster, now Admiral Foster, stood with the Lumerian ambassador as they watched a new ship launch into orbit. It was a joint human-Lumerian vessel, combining the best of both worlds' technologies. "What will you name it?" the ambassador asked. Foster smiled. "The Unity, the first of many." As the ship climbed into the blue sky, humans and Lumerians alike knew that this was just the beginning. The distress call that had brought two civilizations together had changed the course of history for both species, proving that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in technology, but in the willingness to reach out a helping hand across the stars.